Hi, I'm so glad to be with you, Sam, and everybody who's going to come on after me, and welcome to everybody tuning in all across the country. Very inspiring where people are tuning in from. In 3 days, in 72 hours, November 5th, 2025, the 1 year anniversary of Trump's election, we will be amassing in Washington, D.C. at 11 a.m. on the National Mall at the National Monument to launch a nonviolent, sustained, and growing struggle to raise the demand. Trump must go now. The fascist Trump regime must go now. To raise this demand and to launch a sustained and growing struggle aiming to bring forward millions, to bring about the kind of profound political earthquake from below that is necessary to realign society and give initiative and backing to those in the halls of power and the ruling structures and at every other level of society who deeply oppose the lawless tyranny of Trump to move and act in the ways that they can act to bring about his removal. This is possible, it is necessary, and we are launching something historic in 3 days. I want to talk about why we are gathering. I want to talk about our mission and what we are launching, the message that we're sending out to the world. And I want to urge anybody who is tuning in right now, who has not yet gotten your ticket, who has not yet rearranged your schedule to be in DC, to do whatever you can to rearrange to join us in DC, because the more people are here on day one and the days and weeks going forward, the more initiative, the more momentum, the stronger this launch, and the greater humanity's chances are of avoiding a fascist nightmare, which is what is being rapidly hammered into place. And if you really can't get here, to strain and stretch against whatever limits you can to bring as many other people here in your place and to raise support, financial, and spread the word so that eyes from across the country are on the people here. People have their backs, and there are more people coming in reinforcement once we launch. We are doing this on November 5th, on the 1 year anniversary of Trump's election, because we refuse to surrender our humanity and to surrender humanity's future to a fascist tyrant. We do this for 3 reasons I want to emphasize. Number one, there is no living with fascism. And I say this, these are the reasons we are coming, these are the reasons we are manifesting, and these are the reasons we need to broadcast to the world, to the decent people, to the tens of millions of people who hate what Trump is doing, to the ones who are in agony about the disappearances and the kidnappings, to the ones who've been in the streets for No King's Day, for the ones who are in the institutions at NIH and CDC and all throughout the academy, all at every campus and university in this country, and every high school where history is being erased, people in the arts who are horrified by what Trump is doing, people who have a heart for those who are losing their food stamps and food off their table. Everybody who feels there is something deeply wrong needs to hear our message and be compelled to join us. So the first reason, as I said, is there is no living with this fascism. There is no living with it. There's no waiting it out. There's no hoping it goes away. There's no trying to survive it. This is an illusion that the decent people of this country need to be disabused of. We think about this every day. Children are left screaming and traumatized after they watch their parents be brutally tackled and kidnapped. Every day, U.S. military and National Guard are in the streets of our cities, targeting especially Black and brown youth and preparing much greater crimes. Every day, these horrors go on. I want you to think about the videos you've seen. And we've all seen these videos. The other day I saw a video, it just stopped me. Each one of them does, but I watched a video where it wasn't just the ICE agents and the FBI piling on this man and just somebody going about their day, forcing him to the ground, grinding his face into the pavement, putting a knee in his neck and bodies on his back, and bystanders are screaming and they're filming. And the guy keeps yelling out when he can get a gasp for air, "Ayúdame, ayúdame, help me, help me." And there's all these people gathered wishing that, screaming, "Let him go." And finally, one of them screams out and says, "Tell us your name." And before the guy can speak, somebody in an FBI uniform yanks his head off the pavement and puts his hand over the man's mouth so he can't even utter his name. This is Nazi behavior. This is not law enforcement. This is not protecting from criminals. These are criminals. These people are behaving like Nazis. And I tell this story, and I know everybody on this call has seen other stories that have ripped your heart open. And it's a big part of why we're on this call. And it's a big part of why people are coming to DC. But I tell this story because this is not some random bad apple. This is what Trump has called for. He has said we're taking the gloves off. He has called immigrants animals. He has demonized and dehumanized them. And he has told people, he has told the military, he's told his law enforcement, he's told ICE, knock the hell out of them. He's told them explicitly and implicitly, and leaks have come out that people commanding ICE have made it clear that if somebody files a complaint against you, don't worry, we'll lose the paperwork on what happened. We will lose the body cam footage. This kind of thing is going on. People are being given a green light, and this is just the beginning. There is no living with this fascism. As horrific as things are now, Trump has scaled up. We haven't even seen the billions of dollars of infusion of ICE money and what is to come. There's talk of putting out bounties and rewards on people who help catch undocumented immigrants. There is, a month ago, Trump gathered the top brass of the military from all over the world, 1,000 generals and others sitting in a room, and he told them, we're going to fight the enemy within. He's normalized extrajudicial assassinations in the Caribbean against anybody he claims is a terrorist. No evidence, no due process, no oversight, none of this. And now they are trying to remove the legal distinction between international terrorists and domestic terrorists at the very time they are labeling anti-fascists and nonviolent protesters as domestic terrorists. There is no living with this fascism. It does not get better. It gets worse. The atrocities escalate, and the space for people to stand up is violently shut down. If you wait, we miss the window. That is why we are launching this movement now, November 5th in Washington, D.C., because there is no waiting this out. That's number one. Number two, and it's closely related, we are launching this movement November 5th, 11 a.m. on the National Mall here in D.C., because the elections are too late and Trump is already stealing them. Now, No King's Day was an amazing, beautiful outpouring, and the people who lead Indivisible called forward something very powerful, very important when they called that forward, and millions came out. And I don't want to take anything away from that. That shows our strength, that shows our power. It was beautiful and it was righteous. But a few days later, one of the main founders and leaders of Indivisible, Ezra Levin, did an interview where he said, look, we're going to do a protest, we're going to slow Trump down, and the only chance we have is to make it to the midterms and then turn out in such overwhelming numbers that Trump cannot get away with stealing it. That it's too overwhelming for him to be able to steal it. Now, this is a deadly and a dangerous illusion. First of all, not only are the elections way too late, think about what Trump has done in the years since he was elected with just 10 months in power. Not even. Think about that. You want to wait another year and a half before you have an election and see how far things get? I don't think so. But not only is it way too late, and the space for people to stand up and the atrocities will be so much worse. And then what was normalized and the fear will be so much more hardened. But Trump is already stealing the next election. Not only did he incite an insurrection and try to overthrow the last election, he pardoned the insurrectionist. Think how fast people have gotten normalized to that and forgotten the meaning of that you're banking on the next elections. But that's not even the whole of it. He is this week, on Tuesday, sending in his federal forces to monitor elections in 2 Democratic states, in California and New Jersey. This is election interference. This will intimidate Black and brown voters. This is normalizing election interference, and it's a test run for 2026, where Bannon says they're going to station ICE at all the election polling places in Democratic states. This is not going to be a free and fair election. In 24 states, there are 18 election deniers who have been installed at state level monitoring, election monitoring offices. They're going to be overseeing what electors get counted or not. This is not going to be a free and fair election. Already, Mike Johnson is test running, refusing to seat an elected congressperson. He just won't seat her. This is unprecedented. These people are not going to allow an election that they lose. This is not going to work. And there are so many people, we hear it so often. Well, we think what you're doing is right, but I am working on the elections and I'm still hoping that we can make it through that way. No, that's an illusion. And we are coming to DC because we recognize that truth. And by being in DC this Wednesday and in the days and weeks that follow, we are going to be showing in word and deed that there is a movement of people who refuse to gamble humanity's future on the notion that Trump will respect an election he loses. It's like counting on Dracula to guard the blood bank at the local children's hospital. It doesn't work that way. It's not in Trump's nature, and it's not in the nature of these fascists to respect an election they lose. They've shown you this. They are telling it to your face. Trump is talking about a third term, for Christ's sake. We have to tell the truth about this, and we have to act on the truth so that we can force the question among the tens of millions who don't like this and are still living with that lie that we can wait. And it might feel more comfortable now because it's easier, but it's not going to be more comfortable soon. And it's not already for many people. So this is a big reason we're coming, and it's a big thing that we are struggling with. The millions who are the force who can defeat this fascism, to understand by being here, we are making a living reality of that argument as we make the argument. Third thing, why we're coming to DC, third part of what makes this so important. I've talked about the horror of what's happening. I've talked about how fast it's happening. I've talked about why the elections won't work. Third big reason we're coming to DC is it is actually possible. It is actually possible to defeat this fascism. It's possible to remove this regime, to drive it from power through nonviolent, massive struggle. Now, why is it possible? It's not just because they're illegitimate. It's not just because they're ripping up the Constitution. It's not just because they're violating and offending and arousing the anger and the conscience of millions of people. All of that matters. But it is because there are millions and millions of decent people who have not yet accepted this. And they're showing their opposition. 5 to 7 million, maybe more, were in the streets for No King's Day 2. At least 5 million were out for No King's Day 1. We see people resisting in all the institutions, speaking out. They're not winning right now for the most part, but there are people within them who hate what's happening and show it again and again. There's whistleblowers who resign. There is, at every level of society, there is opposition to this regime. And here's something very strategic. This opposition to the regime goes all the way up into the ruling structures of this country. Now, right now, those who are opposed to the regime, including within the arms, the governmental and ruling structures of repression, including among the courts, including in Congress, including at every level, right now, those who are deeply, deeply opposed to this regime are overwhelmed, and they're on the defensive. And many of them act at times to slow this down. Judges put stays in the way of some of Trump's lawlessness. Then it makes it up to the Supreme Court, which is packed with fascist judges, and it gets overturned 95% of the time. There are different ways that people are acting now, some behind the scenes, some more openly, or would like to act to stop this regime, or even to see it removed. But right now, they don't have the initiative. That does not change by lobbying them. That does not change by just coming out for one day. That lets everybody know we oppose this. But what does change that is when millions of people stand up in sustained, unrelenting, uncompromising, nonviolent protest demanding the regime must go. That is what causes a shift in who has the initiative, a shift in the alignment at every level of society and within every institution. And if you think about something like, if even just sitting on a law firm board or a university board, if everybody's in protest in the streets in nonviolent opposition to what the regime is doing, those who are opposed to capitulating to Trump are going to have a lot more confidence, a lot more boldness, a lot more initiative in making the argument and winning the argument within their institution. And that applies all the way up into the ruling structures. Because of Trump's lawlessness, because of his trashing of the Constitution, because of what he's doing to America's standing in the world, there are people in very powerful positions who are opposed to this, but they will not be compelled to act, and they will not be enabled to act in the ways that they can and need to be about a part of bringing about Trump's removal without the unrelenting political demand, political earthquake, nonviolent from below. And we have seen the millions. We have seen them show their opposition. We know they're there. This is not just a wish and a prayer. They are actually there. If we could win them from that ready to protest every few months and be satisfied with that and wait for the midterms or hope it blows over or hope it doesn't hit me, if we can move them from acting to actually acting decisively in DC at the seat of power in growing numbers, we can bring about the alignment that actually compels the removal of Trump. It is actually possible. This is why we are coming. We have a strategy, and it is the only strategy. It is the only strategy that measures up to the horror and the stakes that we are facing. Now, some people have told us that this is magical thinking. Oh, if you just bring millions of people, Trump is not going to change his mind and step down. We're not counting on Trump growing a conscience or anything else. We are saying that when millions rise up, it changes what is possible. It changes. That's what I'm describing. It is not possible now. It is not viable now that Trump will be removed, not through impeachment, not through the 25th Amendment, not through anything else. But any of those and many other options could come into play with this outpouring. And so this is why we're coming. This is a strategy that could win. So those three reasons. One, there's no living with this fascism, no waiting it out, no hoping it goes away. It only gets worse. If it is not removed from power, they will increase their atrocities, the moral stain on society and everybody in it, and they will shut down violently any space for any kind of meaningful opposition. So number one, it is unbearable and unforgivable to accept this fascism and try to wait it out. Number two, the elections are not a strategy. They're a losing strategy. And number three, we have a strategy. So on November 5th, we are going to gather at 11 a.m. on the National Mall. And the more people who are here, the stronger this launch will be. We're going to bring orange, the color that shows this is more than a day. This is a movement. And we're going to launch this movement. We are going to march. We're going to rally, and then we're going to march. And we're going to past the White House, the Congress, the Supreme Court, and we're going to be delivering this message and calling out to people. Trump must go now and join us. Join us. Get to DC. From this day, it is the beginning. We've asked people to come and stay as long as they can every single day. We are going to be going back out, and we're going to be protesting. We're going to be standing up against and taking on the institutions and the crimes of this regime, exposing them and rallying people to stand up in an unrelenting way and protest, nonviolent but unrelenting. And we are going to be doing something that most people don't do, which is to take our marches, take our chants, take our songs, and we are going to be taking them out to the masses of people who need to get off the sidelines and join us. We're taking them out to the masses of people who care. And a lot of them, when we go out to them, we've experienced this already with the volunteers here. We go out to people and they say, why are you coming to me? You got to go to Congress. Why are you coming to me? You should be going and telling the politicians. Well, we're coming to you because we are the people, and we are the force that can actually act to change the alignment that compels and enables those in power to act. And many, many people don't see themselves playing that role yet. So we are going straight out to them. And we're going to be saying, which side are you on? Which side are you on? There's a movement of people standing up. There's a movement that's been launched to drive out this fascist regime. Which side are you on? Join us. and we'll be marching through, and this is how we'll be building every day going out. Thursday, we're going to do a march past George Washington and Georgetown University, taking this to students. That's November 6th. November 7th, we will be at the Supreme Court at 9 a.m. The Supreme Court is having private arguments over whether they are going to take a case that could reopen the question of, but lead to the overturning of marriage equality. This is very serious. The fact that they're even entertaining this is very dangerous. We are going to be there to say hell no. First, they came for the LGBTQ people, and we are not letting that poem advance. We're going to be there with a march, with a rally and a march. Saturday, November 8th, we are going to be out again in the neighborhoods, and our plan at this point is to march through some of the neighborhoods of the oppressed and the immigrant neighborhoods in DC to take this movement to them. Sunday, there are things happening for Veterans Day, and we're going to be taking this out to the veterans. And we're going to be trying to get in the media with a challenge. You took an oath, and to those still in active duty, to a constitution, not to a fascist tyrant. We're going to be supporting and a lot of the veterans in this movement and the veterans that we have aligned ourselves with in partnership with November 5th movement. We're going to be working together with them for plans, but this is going to be taking that challenge out to veterans and enlisted men and women. Then Sunday, that's Sunday. Tuesday is Veterans Day itself, and we are going to be doing actions again in concert with some of the veterans who've been in town doing an encampment at the Union Station. Wednesday, Thursday, there's more actions being called. There's going to be a walkout day for high schools and college. These details are all going to be posted very soon on our social media and on our website, and we will have handouts as we go out so people know how and where to join us. But the idea is that from November 5th up until Thanksgiving, that's 3 weeks, we need growing momentum, a dynamic of growth, and more media, more and more buzz, more and more social media, more and more people feeling compelled from across the country. I recognize time is now. There's people taking a stand. I have to be there. We need to make DC a magnet to everybody with a conscience across this country. And our actions need to act as a lever to move more people to join us, the people who care. So there's more on this plan to be developed. And there's more that is in development that we'll be announcing. But I want to give some sense of this. Every day we're going to be going up against the regime and its crimes. We're going to go to DHS, the Department of War. We're going to be going up against the Homeland Security and protesting its measures. We're going to be finding ways in relationship to the cutting off of SNAP and food benefits. There's other actions in the works, and your ideas are very valuable. That'll be part of shaping this. But every day we'll be out there and gathering more people. The weekend of the 20th through the 22nd, there's other organizations calling for the removal of the regime, planning protests and lobbying, and a big concert. This will be really important that these synergize and there's momentum being built. So there's more on the schedule, but I think that's enough for the moment on that. But the main thing is we need to launch this, and then we need to grow. And we need to grow for the reasons I said. There are 4 other things I want to say very briefly, and I'm going to read them so that I say them in a compact way, which is we have 4 principles that are going to guide this movement. And they are going to be able to help us stay on course and see this through. And we posted these on our social media, and they're on our website. The first is that our single unifying demand is the Trump fascist regime must go now. And in the name of humanity, we cannot stop until the regime is removed from power. We refuse to accept a fascist America. And the idea is we can have different perspectives. We have many other demands that many of us might feel, and we can bring those in. But there is one thing that unites us and that we will not stop until we win it. The Trump fascist regime must go. That's the North Star. Number 2, this movement is nonviolent while determined and unrelenting. Our strength and power lies in bringing forward millions of people converging in DC to defeat this fascism. So we are nonviolent, but we're not going to be put on the defense. We're going to keep the offense, and we're going to bring forward the millions, which is the only way to win. Number 3, we unite all who can be united against Trump MAGA fascism. We overcome all divide and conquer schemes. We will not agree with each other often. We'll learn to disagree, we'll learn to debate, while also coming together and deepening our understanding that the future you want, the future I want, the future somebody else wants, even if they're different, none of them are possible if fascism consolidates. We need each other, and we need to learn to work together. Unite all who can be united against Trump MAGA fascism. And finally, number 4, there is no advance against a fascist regime. There is no struggle that can prevail that is not going to be attacked, slandered, and face the need for sacrifice. We don't take that lightly. We take it very seriously, which is why we need to see every attack and respond to every attack, whether it's legal, physical, or in the realm of public opinion, by further exposing the illegitimacy of the regime and its measures and the repression it unleashes, and using that to bring more people into our movement, to defend those under attack, even people who you might not fully agree with, to defend them against this regime and its attacks, and to bring more people into this so that we are growing through everything. The regime must go. The regime must go, not stopping until that is won. So that's what we are launching. We have a strategy. We have a basis to win. There is no guarantee, but there is no excuse for sitting on the sidelines and not throwing all in when it is clear that time is running out to defeat this fascism, and it is actually possible. So now's the time to step up. I want to give a salute to everybody who's come here early to help organize. I want to give a salute to everybody who I saw in the chat who is planning to travel to be here. And I want to challenge and invite everybody on this call to reach everybody you know, to bring more people here in these final 72 hours, to stay as long as you can, come late if you need, and send support and spread the word if you really cannot get here.